What's up, YouTube? It's Ben here and my son Andre. Check this out. I want to rant. I want to rant about the way things are being done in response to the coronavirus. I want to make something clear before I make this video. I understand that this is a virus. I'm not one of these people who are going around denying the virus doesn't exist or downplaying it, right? There's a lot of people say, okay, the virus doesn't exist, it's a hoax. I've seen those people. Literally right here in Pasadena, I saw a guy the other day with a shirt on that said the virus is a hoax. Totally retarded, okay? I'm not downplaying the virus. I understand that it's a serious thing. That aside, okay, the economic part of the question. What are we doing and why are we doing it? And by we, I mean the authorities, the people that are telling us shut down non-essential businesses. Well, no business is non-essential. And here's why. People who run these non-essential businesses, and I want to say non-essential because it's bogus. It is always, all these businesses are essential. To somebody, to millions of people's livelihoods, these businesses are essential. Maybe to you as a client, you don't need a haircut. You don't need to get your nails done. But that's the thing. And see, this is how they frame debates in this country. This is a huge thing that it's like a pet peeve of mine. The way debates are framed, okay? There's all this stuff going on and they just want you to focus on this narrow little square that it's all hair and nails. Bullshit. I'm calling it bullshit, okay? What about shopping malls? What about retailers? What about millions of small businesses, okay? Well, fine. Let's shut them down. Let's go ahead and shut those businesses down because we have to keep everybody at home for the coronavirus, right? That's what they said, because why? We need to flatten the curve. Okay, fair enough. So what is the government doing to step in for these small businesses? What are they doing with the delays and unemployment and PPP, right? People aren't getting help. They aren't getting help, and a $1,200 stimulus check is a sick joke, okay? It's a sick joke. That's not gonna help people. So what is going on here? Some people apparently got some help, but a lot of people are left out in the cold, right? So flattening the curve. Hospitals weren't prepared. They weren't prepared for a pandemic. Why? Because Trump gutted some of Obama's things that he put in place during his administration. Okay, well, let's blame Trump. But this can't just be blamed on one guy. This is a much bigger thing. Trump is not responsible for everything that goes on in the country. And whether you like Trump or not, we can agree on that part. Trump is not responsible for everything that goes on. And it's not just Trump and the governors. It's beyond that. It's all the corporations that run the hospitals. It's this idea that Americans don't have called preparedness, which we need to be prepared for things that go on, like pandemics. We need to understand that these kinds of things happen. We are not, as a society and as a country, as a nation, we are not prepared to deal with things that we need to understand happen. Here's a great example. Coronal mass ejections, right? This has been talked about I don't know how many times. There has been, like, in National Geographic, right? There was the Congressional EMP Commission, right? They did extensive studies into this. Into what? The vulnerabilities of the power grid, right? Oh, okay, well, what is the importance of that? Well, the power grid, we all subsist on power. I mean, we all need electricity to live. That's how we refrigerate and transport and pump gas and do all the other essential things that a society needs to function on a very basic level. And it has been said that due to coronal mass ejections, the solar activity, or potentially a terrorist or a weapon of war, an EMP, that it's not just likely to happen, but pretty much it's going to happen at some point, and it could happen sooner rather than later. And from what I remember hearing, like 90% of Americans could die if this happens. And all it would take is a simple fix to the electric grid. I don't have the exact figures on. It was like something like a few $1 billion or something. Even if it was like 100 billion. The point is that if we don't do that as a country, then we risk catastrophic power failure, and that would cause the end of society as we know it. But I never saw anything really happen. I remember that was a big thing in the prepper community. Is they talked about this. It's like, what is the government doing? They're just ignoring it. It's like, are they stupid? You almost got to wonder, are they that stupid? Are they that incompetent? Or do they want us to fail? And I'm not going to go there because I don't want to sit here and say the government wants us to fail. But here's the thing. We had time to prepare for a pandemic. And this is why we had to flatten the curve, because the hospitals weren't ready. We didn't want to overburden them and cause too much of a surge. They're not saying, oh, well, if you stay home, you're not going to get the coronavirus, because New York just did a study and they looked at this and they said, okay, well, 60 or 66%, basically 2/3 of the hospitalizations were people who stayed at home and they were actually attending to those stay-at-home orders, right? So that didn't do too well, is my point. But okay, fair enough. Stay home, flatten the curve. But that was to stop a surge, right? It wasn't to say you're not going to catch it. It was just to give them time to prepare. Okay, well, is 3 months not enough time to prepare? Do we have to crash the economy? Oh, and by economy, I don't mean the stock market. The stock market is doing wonderfully. They're doing wonderfully right now. I'm talking about millions of people who are lining up at food banks that are barely able to handle that capacity. I'm talking about people who are like, okay, I'm afraid I can't pay my cell phone, my electric bill, my gas bill, my mortgage. Food is running out. Medications are running out. They have no hope. How are you going to tell millions of people, go home? You can't work. Shut down your businesses. Businesses, by the way, and this is actually pissing me off even more, businesses where people poured their blood, sweat, and tears, because I was a small business owner before. Blood, sweat, and tears for years to build up, and then you think you could just tell me as a business owner, shut down, go home. Too bad your business crashes, that's your, oh well. Like, where is the solution? Okay, well fine, bail us out then. This is a question. Vic DiPotetto, the comedian, he made a video about this. Where's the help? Where were the bailouts for the average person, right? And a lot of other people have been raising that point. Billionaires got a bailout. Millionaires got tax breaks. They got all these benefits, you know, because they have lobbyists and things like that. But what about the millions of people that are literally on the brink right now? And here's what really gets me going. This is an industrialized country. This is a very wealthy nation, and we're doing this bad now. We had no preparation, and all these billionaires and all these corporations that are wealthy corporations, they didn't have any money set aside, right? They game the system, they get the bailouts and everything, right? But they expect us, average people, to have 6 months of savings, which is another thing altogether, which is really ridiculous. Because if the wealthy don't put away, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But here we're doing well compared to third world countries, compared to poorer nations, okay? Why do I say that? Well, if you pay attention to the news, they're talking about catastrophic food shortages are coming. Famines are coming. Medication shortages, hospital systems breaking down, everything breaking down. This is worse in poor countries, in underdeveloped countries. They're saying, oh, hundreds of thousands of kids could starve to death. Millions of people are going to be sent out into abject poverty, literally like on the street. Okay, so we're going to impoverish most of the planet. We're going to put hundreds of thousands of kids up for starvation and worse. Society will break down, and what's going to happen? Who knows where this could go? War, revolution, famine, disease. A lot of bad things are going to happen. So my question is, why did we shut down the economy? Oh, because it's essential versus non-essential. But again, non-essential is essential because it's essential to the people that they rely on those incomes to get by, to survive, right? But then there's another thing, and this was in Market Watch. I was reading about this, and it's a good point. Well, how do they determine what is essential versus non-essential? Because industries have satellite industries, and they're all kind of interconnected. So like hospitals, for instance, they might rely on other industries. They might rely on other kinds of companies that have been shut down and deemed non-essential to produce certain supplies for them, or plastics and metals, and who knows what kinds of things. I mean, it's a very intricate system. It's like a web, very complicated. And they can't just simply say with a cleaver, okay, this is essential versus non-essential. And please stop framing this as hair and nails. Okay, that's retarded. I don't even want to say that's a red herring. I don't even want to say that's straw man. It's not. It's just stupidity is what it is. So there was a restaurant owner in Ohio who used shower curtains, right, to separate tables. Why can't we get creative? Why can't non-essential businesses, why can't restaurants open back up and get creative? Follow the social distancing, follow the mask wearing rules, follow the hand sanitization rules, right? Do whatever they have to do. Sheave off people as much as possible until we can come up with antiviral treatments, come up with a vaccine, whatever. Why did they shut down the economy? And I've heard this. I don't know how true it is, and it looks very real. And part of this is coming from the UN, right? More people could die as a result of the shutdowns than the actual virus itself. And that's the worst projections of the virus. Diseases of despair, suicide, alcoholism, drug overdoses, right? Domestic violence is on the rise. Mental health, famines. Okay, and that's another question. Farmers dumping out milk, fields of crops going to waste. Millions of animals being euthanized because they can't get them to market. Okay, well, why is that even a thing? Are we so stupid that we can't actually think that maybe logistically we need to figure out how to get food to the table, and instead of just destroying it? Like, hello, we need to survive off food. If there's no food, then look, we're gonna make things so bad. Potentially the coronavirus is gonna be the last thing we worry about. If things get bad enough and smart people don't step in and fix it quick enough, that people aren't even going to care about the coronavirus anymore. They're going to wonder, am I going to eat today? Okay, this is not an acceptable solution to a pandemic. Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this every time there's a virus? Every time there's a virus that breaks out in Asia or in Africa or wherever the viruses break out, are we going to shut down and crash the world economy and plunge millions upon millions of people into abject poverty and starvation and literal death because we can't get our fucking acts together? Hello? And it's not just pandemics, it's all the other stuff we've been talking about as in the prepper community. EMP, the power grid, 90% of Americans would die. That's the conclusions drawn from that congressional EMP commission. 90% of Americans would die. And I think it would be worse because you know what? What are we going to do when all the nuclear power plants shut down and they go AWOL because they're running off backup diesel generators that only last 2 weeks? And then we have like 200 Fukushimas. What are we going to do? Why don't they fix the power grid? Why are we being run by fucking morons? Okay, I'm done ranting. You have anything
My
to say?
mind is blown, just like, period. Like, it's like, crazy.
Ben out.